More and more jobs within engineering and technology require a level of coding and coding good practices. An essential part of this is to master code version control and Git. While there are some version control services, GitHub is by far the biggest. In this video we show you how to get started without even having to code. We also share some tips on what interviewers typically are looking for on your GitHub profile and how we easily see whether you are a junior or not. So let's get started. First, what do we mean by version control and what is the purpose? Code version control is like a super-powered undo button for your coding projects. It tracks every change you make, so if something goes wrong, you can easily go back to a version that worked. It also allows collaborating on a group project where everyone can work on their parts simultaneously without overriding each other's contributions, keeping the project up to date and organized. Basically, it's an essential tool for managing and collaborating on coding projects, making it easier to fix mistakes and combine efforts. Git was built in roughly 5 days and released in April 2005 by Linus Torvalds. This is the same guy that created Linux, the greatest open-source operating system today, for instance, powering 85% of all smartphones. Some people are just born a genius, and Linus is definitely one of them. Overall, you need 3 things to get started. First, you need a GitHub account to host your code repositories. If you do not have an account yet, go to github.com to sign up and create a free profile. Next, you need to install Git to your machine. This download will be specific to your operating system. See links in video description. The difference between Git and GitHub can be confusing. In short, Git is the version control system for code repositories, while GitHub is a website that hosts these repositories online. Finally, install a code editor. In this tutorial we will use Visual Studio Code, the most popular free code editor. Go to code.visualstudio.com and download the relevant version for your operating system. After download, install Visual Code on your machine. After logging into GitHub, click Create Repository. In this short tutorial we will make a repository for the course Statistics 101 to keep all course notes. For now, there is no need to fill in more information, so go to the bottom of the page and click Create Repository. You have now established your first repository in GitHub. To start filling it with content, copy the link in the Quick Setup section. Next, head over to Visual Studio Code, click the Explorer icon, then click Clone Repository. Fill in the URL you just copied and click Enter. This will ask you to select the folder you want to clone your repository to. Note that you have to be logged into GitHub in Visual Studio Code for this to work. In the left side menu, right-click and select New File. Create a file called readme.md where the file extension means this is a markdown file. These files are used for documenting your repository with a specific markdown syntax. In this example we make a course headline and short description. This shows how you can practice writing your course notes directly to GitHub. If you are a fast typer you can even do it during class. Next, click on the Git icon in the left bar and then the plus sign next to the README file. Type in a commit message of your change. The message should be in present tense and as short and descriptive as possible. Then click Commit. Finally, click the 3-dot menu and select Push. This will push your code change to GitHub. Now go to the GitHub repository in your browser and click F5 to refresh the page. After reload you should see your content in your README that you just pushed. We see there is a syntax error in the sentence. Now go back to Visual Studio Code, where you can fix the error. Feel free to also add some more content using Markdown syntax. We here add a subsection for our first lecture of getting started. In the lecture we have fixed a typo and are ready to start on learning more about Git and Markdown syntax. Finally, commit your fix and addition with a suitable commit message. We are here making the same commit message as just documented in the README. Kinda cheated for this one. Finally, click Commit and push your changes. Now go back again to the GitHub repository in your browser and refresh it by clicking F5. After reload you should see your updated content in your README. We see that the syntax error is fixed and the next lecture has been documented. We can go to the commit history and see all commits done. With Markdown syntax it is possible to do more cool things than what we have shown. Enough to cover note-taking for your courses. Here we have pushed a new change that includes lists, numbered lists, code blocks and even equations and fairly complex diagrams. We might do an own session on Markdown later on. Now that you know Git and GitHub, here are 3 tips on what not to do. If you do this, interviewers will easily see that you are a junior. Number 1. Low commit repositories. Repositories with just a few commits show that you have basically done all your coding on your machine and then dumped everything in one go to GitHub. This shows that you do not really understand the purpose of version control and have no experience with it. Each repository should have at least 10 commits to be taken seriously. Number 2. One-branch repositories. In a serious project there are at least 2 branches and preferably more. This should also be the case for repositories where you are the only contributor. You should have at least a branch called dev in addition to the main. This shows others that you know the concept of development versus production code. Number 3. Changes in too many files in a single commit with a non-descriptive message. For example, the message push in this example. The purpose of the commit message is to describe what was changed to make it quick to trace back to which commit such changes were done. You should commit often and make your commit message short and descriptive. If you follow these tips, you are on your way to nailing that first interview with your Git and GitHub skills. Start small with your course notes and take it from there. If you liked the introduction in this video and want more practical advice to find your student market fit, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching.